Good day, everyone. This is Laverna, Llamelo and Arjay Delgaco to discuss to you the writing of a project-based assessment in a GRASP framework. So we are from Group 5, and here is Mr. Delgaco to present to you the learning objectives.
So here are the learning objectives. First, define what is a GRASP framework. Second, discuss what is a project-based learning and assessment. And third, write a project-based assessment in a GRASP framework. So before we start to our lesson for today, we have a short recap about what others group discussed on their previous report since our topic for today is about GRASP framework. So what is GRASP? GRASP is a model for demonstrating performance of understanding using authentic assessment. It's a model that helps define the scope and context of the learning experience. It is ideally suited to a project-based inquiry. So what is GRASP? G stands for goal. Goal states the goal, problems, challenges, or outcome of the project. R stands for role. Role defines the role of the students and the perspective from which they approach the task. A stands for audience. Audience define the relationship between the audience and the students. How will the two interact? S stands for situation. Situation describes the context for the inquiry. P stands for product. Product defines what will be produced in relationship to the task. And S stands for standards. The standards that will be used to evaluate the success of the performance.
So now we are going to discuss about the project-based learning. What is project-based learning? It is a teaching method that allows students to gain knowledge by requiring them to work for an extended period of time to investigate a complex problem or question. Students are given the freedom and opportunity to explore real-world problems and develop a deeper and more enriched understanding.
So what is project-based assessment?
It is the approach used to design education to assess a student's performance. It allows a child to demonstrate his or her capabilities while working independently. So here are the key characteristics of a project-based assessment. First is teaching through the project. Then second, connecting the project with the real world. And lastly, promoting students' autonomy. So here are the examples of project-based assessment. First, as you can see in the picture, is the list of infographics. Certain projects may require a long list of materials from your students. In order to keep track of their materials and keep students organized, a list is integral. Project examples are building bridges and with list infographics. Examples of project-based assessment is the poster design. Once the students have completed their planning, they can use a poster design to create an event which outlines all the details of their campaign. For example, creating a fundraising campaign for an issue you care about. So, how to write a project-based assessment in a GRASP framework. So, we have here guiding questions. For the goal, what is an authentic goal related to the discipline? What makes this goal worthwhile for students to investigate? How will students understand the importance of the goal? And what prior knowledge do students have that will help them achieve the goal? And for the guidance, the goal must be written as one statement. It, it should sound like a strong statement of inquiry, and it should be driven by the conceptual understanding of the unit. So for the examples of goal is that you optimizing the packaging and shipping of a product to reduce waste, costs, and CO2 emissions. So to achieve the goal, you have to determine the ideal method for evaluating air quality and to determine to the island of the positive and negative impacts of tourism. Next is for the role, how can we create the role? The guiding questions are what are some authentic roles that are related to the goal of discipline? How will students understand the scope and expectations of the role? What prior knowledge about the role will students have? What skills and knowledge will students need to be successful in the role? And is there a role model that the students can refer to or meet in person? So the guidance here are identify authentic roles and help students understand the scope of the role. Roles should frame the perspective from which students engage in the inquiry. The examples for it is you are a marine biologist who studies coral reef. You are concerned with rising sea levels and how this will impact the reefs you study. You are part of a team of biologists, data analysts, tourism operators, and local fishers who are working on solutions to this problem. Other roles could include marketing manager, public health researcher, product designer, photojournalist, and etc. So, for for the audience, the guiding questions are what is the relationship between the audience and the role? What are the defining characteristics of the audience and how might this influence the skills and knowledge needed by students to be successful? So to guide us in writing the goal, so we have to define an authentic audience and avoid being too broad. Consider the relationship between the role and the audience and not the teacher. So for example, the clients are looking for a new chair design for their office space. They want the chair to showcase sustainable design practices in the types of materials and processes used in its construction. Sustainability is an important characteristic of their brand. They are seeking to support emerging local designers in their space. So the other audiences could include visitors of a gallery or museum, other researchers, editor of a history blog, director of marketing, head of nonprofit organizations, and etc. The next is situation. So the guiding questions for situation, how will the students understand the significance and value of this situation? How is the situation concerned to an authentic real-world experience or situation? And what prior skills and knowledge of the concept do the students have? And the guidance use the unit concept to define the situation. And the situation should be engaging and educational. And it also allow an element of choice. The differentiation in how they approach the task. For example, students should be presented with or engage with the situation. This can be done through any type of provocation and learning experience. Generally, it is helpful to develop a statement of the situation to guide teachers and students. The statement can be from the rationale of the inquiry, why is it being done and what its value is to the students and beyond the classroom. So for the product, the guiding questions are how will a student show their conceptual understandings through the product? How can the task be structured to allow for differentiation and student choice in the final product? What knowledge and skills do students need in order to be successful? How will the students understand the content and quality expectations for the product? And for the guidance, it should be authentically related to the goal, role, audience, and situation. And it also allow an element of choice, differentiation, and how they approach the task. For example, a product is a prototype for a design, software program, infographic or poster, article for a journal or blog, a series of artworks, a podcast, a performance poem, prototype for testing, design brief, proposal. So the next is um, standards. How will the standards be communicated to students? How will students use the standards to monitor and self-evaluate their success? Are the expectations and task specific clarifications clear, reasonable, and achievable? How will students manage their progress on the task? So for the guidance, only use standards that can effectively assess the product. And it should be written in clear, student-appropriate language. So, for example, possible standards should include task-specific clarifications, rubrics, national or state standards, co-created rubric, or success criteria. So, for the sentence starters, for the goal, we can use the sentence such as, your task is to, your goal is to, the problem or challenge is, the obstacle to overcome is. So for the role, the sentence starters are, you are, you have been asked to, your job is.
For the audience, we have the sentence starters such as your clients are, the target audience is, and you need to convince.
And for the situation, the sentence starters are, you can use the challenge involves dealing with, the context you find yourself in is, the context requires an understanding of. So for the product, you can use the sentence starters such as, you will create A in order to, you need to develop A so that. So for the standards, the sentence starters can be, your performance needs to, your work will be judged by, your product must meet the following standards, and a successful result will.
So that is how we can write a project-based assessment in a GRASP framework. Hope you learned something from today as we move forward to our next lesson.